Fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. I'm here with Nikki, who you know from many other videos, and Cheney, who's sitting over there.
Hello,
who's
Cheney.
hitting some balls in this video as well. And today we want to talk about the difference between the new Pure Drives, 198 versus the new Ezones. Because I got a lot of questions about that, like which one should I get? They're both power rackets and they're both new, so it's tricky with all these rackets coming out.
And they kind of look similar.
They kind of look similar with the blue colorway. The Ezone is a little bit more modern maybe, and it's a bit more daring.
Yeah.
But your feeling, I mean, you're an Ezone player and you were a radical, or like, you know, kind of a radical mold player before.
Yeah.
And you've been using the Ezone for a few years.
Yes.
And why? Some people asked.
Yeah, so the main reason was that, I mean, when I was obviously playing and training and playing regularly, then the feeling and the control from the, so yeah, like you said, like a radical style, old school radical style frame was great, but I had to play the racket so heavy to get the ball to go anywhere. Yeah. And so nowadays I need to, you know, appreciate that I'm not playing as much, not as fit as I used to be. And I just wanted a little bit extra help. And I found that the Ezone, especially the 98, was the only power racket that still maintained the same amount of control and feel that I was kind of used to. It was still an adjustment. However, it was a much better one because now I can not play for a few weeks, play, still feel great, arm doesn't hurt, you know, whereas with my older rackets that I used to compete with and stuff and really hit with, you know, you need to sort of get back into them. And it was just too much work, to be honest. And, you know, things are changing, courts are changing, speeds are changing, and I feel like a lot of people kind of stick with the old school a little bit too long. So I didn't want to kind of be one of those either. So I was happy to try something new. I also tried, I mean, it wasn't just Yonex I tried to, you know, we try a load of rackets. It was just the only one that I really liked that kind of had the same balance between control and feel, but still with a much more power and a lot more playability.
Yep, so, I agree. I mean, it's a modern racket. What they've done here is seems like they have softened it. I'm curious to hear your opinion, like going from you played the Aqua Night, I guess, before that, and to this one. Like, what's the difference for you?
So I feel like I had the previous model in blue, and then I played the Aqua Night as well, and the Aqua Night was a little bit stiffer slightly, but that was kind of down to the paint, to the black paint.
Yep.
However, this one I feel like they've made a little bit softer, a lot more playable without any customizing, which was a really nice addition because I felt like the previous model Ezones you had to do a little bit of customizing to make it really good. Whereas this I've hit with now a couple times without any customizing. Grip size is even too small, and it still feels great. Like I can swing it fast, you get enough on the ball. So that's like quite a big improvement. Because obviously, I mean, we customize our rackets. However, a lot of people aren't quite there yet, so they might just buy one, buy two, and if you need to customize it for every player, then it might sort of take away the sort of marketability. Whereas like now, you play great.
Just pick it up and play.
It was definitely an improvement. Like not much, but slight enough that it's a nice improvement from the previous one. And that's also one thing I feel like Yonex recently have been trying to do with each model they've been bringing out. They've been trying to make them a little bit different, a little bit better. You know, even the V-Core changed the drill pattern and everything. So like they are making changes as they go along instead of just giving it a new paint job. So I think you know, and also I like that. A little bit of innovation is good because, you know, I feel like some companies are not really innovating enough.
Yeah, well, you can get bored with testing rackets when there's such a small change. Here they took a kind of a daring approach. So they made the 98 quite a lot softer, so the ball stays longer in the string bed, which I really like. I think you enjoy that 100%. As well, and we talked to Sean before, he also enjoyed that.
Yeah.
The 100 they made a bit stiffer, so that's you're gonna get a lot of power, a little bit more like a firmer frame. Yeah. So if you need a lot of help, they made them more different. I think that makes sense.
That makes sense, because before it was like the 98 and the 100, you could barely feel a difference really. One was a little bit more powerful than the other, but there was not really enough difference to tell people which one you should use. We did string them up, or I strung them up with the same string, so they both have Polytor Rev in at 24, 23. However, I would say if I was to test the 100 again, I would go back to the Poly Pro, Polytor Pro, and because it needs a softer string, I think. Whereas the 98 with the Rev feels great. I strung because it looked nice, the colors matched. But I would definitely get a softer string in the 100 to balance out that stiffness from the frame. And then I think it's going to play nice. But like you said, it is quite a lot firmer, but it is good to have a difference.
Yep, 100%. So why difference between 98 and 100 more than the previous generation? The 98 is softer. I think the 98 could be considered by more players than before.
Yeah.
The 100 is definitely for you who want a lot more power. The Pure Drives, we can actually start comparing them one by each, because you played the 100 and the 98.
Yes.
And here you have also quite a big difference between the 100 and 98.
Yeah.
What was your thought there?
So in reverse, the 100 was for me much better than the 98, than the Pure Drive 98. The Pure Drive 100, obviously classic frame, and it's always been good. It's had its ups and downs through the years, but it's always been good, solid racket. I still feel that. I still think it's nowadays a little bit stiffer, like a little bit too much vibration than it might need to be. If you compare it to other frames, especially to the Yonex frames, I feel like there's a lot of feedback in the racket. Maybe a little bit too much, but the 100 was definitely better. The launch angle, the 98 was just like straight down. Yeah, it was really tough to gauge because it was quite powerful, but then the ball kind of still just dipped very quickly. So I really felt like the launch angle was weirdly just straight down, and I was expecting, to get a little bit better trajectory off it. Whereas the 100 was great. It felt like a Pure Drive, played like a Pure Drive. Great racket, not for me, but great racket otherwise.
Yeah, they made that softer, and you can check my reviews about these that I've published previously, but the 100 feels softer, it's a little bit more user-friendly than the previous generation, while like most people who try the 98 find it to be a very demanding frame. I think it's like one of those where you really need to be a specific, almost like aspiring pro to be able to play with this, because it's quite demanding, It's like much more demanding than the 100.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because if you want a control-based frame, you probably wouldn't use a Pure Drive 98. So it's a bit, they haven't really found the personality of the racket. I don't know who I'd recommend that to. 100 obviously you can recommend to loads of people.
Yeah.
The 98, there's a lot of frames also from Babolat, from other rackets that are, in my opinion, much better.
Yeah, because you have the Pure Strikes, which are also 98.
Also the Aero 98 compared to the Aero 100 is a big difference, and they both have their sort of place, whereas the Pure Drive 98, it could do with a bit of, work.
Yeah, so for me it's like this. I prefer the Pure Drive 100 over the Ezone 100. I feel like that's a little bit brassier, and I really like the 100 of the Pure Drive, while I prefer the Ezone 98 quite a lot over the Drive 98.
Yes.
So it's like the Ezone 98 is a really good frame.
Pure Drive 100, Yonex 100, and then that 98 last,
That's a good way to phrase it. So I hope this gives you some idea of which one you would choose. Ezone 98 is a gem. I think it's even better than the previous one. I also feel like the Pure Drive 100 is more user-friendly than it's been before, and it's softer on the arm, so you don't have that many vibrations, while the 98 is quite tough, So this is for the very small audience, and you should demo, of course. Ezone 100, you get loads more power than the 98, so it's for you who wants a lot of power and you like Ezones.
Yeah, and like we said, with like the paint job is quite different, but I found out the reason why it is quite different. I think it's clever. It's so that you can clearly see on TV what it is. Because in previous models, and this happens to a lot of brands, not just Yonex, that you can't really see if it's the new one or not. A lot of the time, especially with the Yonex blue, black, you couldn't really tell if it's the new one. Whereas they made sure with this one that you can see who's using it and which model it is. So I think that's that's quite clever on their part. And it does definitely look much better in person, I think, than on TV or in photos.
100%. Yeah. So 2 good sticks for you who look for power. If you're into power, the Ezone 98 is kind of more controlled than the previous one, so it can be used by quite a lot of players. We like both, but you heard our opinions there, and you can check out the full reviews. Fellow tennis nerds, here with Cheney. She used to be a Pure Drive player, and now she is not hitting that many tennis balls, but she needs to get back into it because she's a good player. What was your very first impressions of playing with these 4 rackets?
I think I started with the Pure Drive. It feels very similar to the racket that I used to use. I can't remember how many years ago it was, but it still feels the same.
How powerful feel, like the crisp feel,
And then I think I used the 98 of the Yonex, which I really enjoyed. Having played a lot, it was nice to hit the ball with. I didn't feel like I needed the perfect technique or...
Quite forgiving for you, And still not having played for quite a while and getting back, and you would think like a 98, okay, it's going to be difficult because it's a smaller head size, you have less forgiveness, but that was the one I felt like you hit the best with, right?
Yeah.
You would go Ezone over the Pure Drive, would that be your choice?
Yes, definitely.
Based on the feeling? Like you like the feeling more of the rackets?
Yeah, it's nice this one was really nice to play with. I didn't have to think about what I was doing, I could just enjoy playing tennis and being back on the court again, which was nice, so yeah, definitely this one.
Great, thanks Jenny.
Thank you.
Thanks Nikki, you're gonna start playing with the new one now?
Yes, hopefully I'm gonna get mine, also customize them up to my weight, because then it'll be interesting to see how it compares directly with my previous model as well.
Yeah, so if you have questions in the comments for Nikki or for myself, put them there, and that's it. Have a nice day, and
don't forget to play some tennis.